Sinful Obsession, A Tale of Love, Parental Neglect, and Consequences. What do you mean? I can take care of my children. I don't need your help, she snapped, her voice rising. Please don't interfere with my family, mama. Once upon a time in the city of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Owen Street vibrated with life, its streets alive with the hum of commerce and the rhythm of a city that never slept. As the golden glow of sunset shines on the city, Ebere stepped out of her family's new home, clutching her bag tightly. She has a slender, curvy frame, brown skin, and dimples that made her smile radiant. Her brown curly hair danced in the breeze as she headed for Owen Market, a place filled with traders and buyers. It was here, amidst the busy market, that her eyes first locked with Emezie's own. He was standing near a provision shop. His height and broad shoulders commanded attention. The faint scar on his chin and his short dreadlocks gave him an air of rugged charm. Hey! Beautiful angel, let me walk with you to the shop, Emezie offered, his deep voice a mix of warmth and protection. Ebere smiled, a soft blush creeping up her cheeks. Thanks. I don't want anyone bothering me. But Emezie persisted. Sorry, I did not mean to harass you. You are a newbie and this market has a lot of area boys. Ebere said to him, you just met me and next you start calling me sweet names. Is this how guys behave in Owen? But if you want to act as my bodyguard, you are welcome, she said. As they walked to the shop, Emezie noticed the way other boys were staring at Ebere, and he was jealous. She was captivated by his presence, and from that moment, what began as a chance encounter blossomed into something deeper, and it was love at first sight. Ebere and her family quickly became friends with Emezie's family. Their bond grew stronger. They often shared meals and stories together, and the atmosphere filled with laughter and joy. Ebere was enrolled in Owen's Comprehensive High School, where she met Chidera and Kechi. They were in the same class, SS1, while Emezie was in SS3. Emezie would often help Ebere in mathematics and other subjects, and Ebere's best friends, Chidera and Kechi, teased her about Emezie in front of everyone in their class. Here comes Her Royal Highness, the wife of King Emezie, they would say, and Ebere would smile, secretly thrilled by their teasing, and the whole class would erupt with laughter. Despite Ebere and Emezie's young ages, their bond grew stronger every day, a foundation built on trust, affection, and companionship. Theirs was a love story that would stand the test of time, or so they thought. Ebere graduated from secondary school at the age of 17, with impressive grades. Emezie, already a student at the University of Port Harcourt, was studying computer science. He was in his third year when Ebere was admitted to the same university to study mass communication. They were happy to be together on the same campus. Chidera and Kechi also secured admission at the same university, with Chidera studying mass communication and Kechi pursuing a nursing degree. Their friendship remained as strong as ever. The girls often meet up between classes to catch up and support each other, hanging out in the canteen and studying together. Emezie and Ebere became inseparable. Emezie often comes to her faculty to see her. They study together, and even spent time working on projects together. Their relationship was well known on campus. They were notorious for their deep love and affection for each other, and were called the lovebirds. Years passed. Emezie graduated from the university and secured a job in a big international tech company. 2 years later, Ebere graduated from the university, and she secured a good-paying job in the media world. Ebere's 24th birthday celebration was a momentous occasion. Family and friends gathered at her family's home in Port Harcourt to celebrate, including her two closest friends, Chidera and Kechi, along with Emezie's parents and siblings. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, music, and love. On the eve of her 24th birthday, Emezie had planned something special with Ebere's younger sister Kaima. That evening, after the birthday dinner, Emezie, standing tall and confident, turned to Ebere with a look of pure devotion in his eyes. In front of everyone, he knelt down on one knee, holding a small, velvet box. The room fell silent, and all eyes were on them. Ebere, will you marry me? Ebere gasped, her heart racing. Tears welled up in Ebere's eyes, and without hesitation, she jumped into his arms, shouting, Yes! Yes, I will marry you! Ebere's mum, Mrs. Neka, and her sister embraced her with tears of joy. Ebere said, Mummy, finally I am going to be Mrs. Emezie. Her friends, Chidera and Kechi, cheered in excitement. 4 months later, the day they had both dreamed of arrived. Ebere and Emezie's wedding was a simple yet luxurious affair. Ebere's younger sister, Kaima, stood by her side as maid of honor. while her friends, Chitara and Ketchi, were the bridal girls, dressed in elegant, matching green outfits with other of their friends. The wedding was an intimate celebration, attended by close family and friends. The venue was decorated beautifully. Ebere, in her wedding gown, looked like the princess she had always dreamed of being. Their vows, exchanged with sincerity and passion, marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Later, as they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Ebere whispered, "This is all I ever wanted, Emezie. A life with you. And you will always have me," Emezie replied, his arms wrapped tightly around her. Forever. It was a dream come true for both of them. A year into their marriage, Ebere and Emezie were blessed with twins Zikora, a handsome boy with his father's eyes, and Zitari, a beautiful girl with her mother's charm. The twins brought immense joy to the couple, who were overjoyed at the new addition to their family. As parents, Ebere and Emezie were deeply devoted to their children. But as their love for each other continued to grow, they found themselves unintentionally neglecting their children at times. Their deep affection for one another often led them to spend time alone, leaving the twins to fend for themselves. The twins, though young, began to notice the sounds coming from their parents' room. At first, they thought their father was hurting their mother, but soon they realized it was something entirely different: affection, love, and intimacy. But they were too young to understand the complexities of adult relationships. One fateful night, the door to Emezie and Ebere's room was left slightly ajar. Zitari had a nightmare and woke up, trembling in fear. She quickly woke up her brother, Zikora, to comfort her. "Zikora! I am scared. I had a terrible nightmare," Zitari whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't be scared, Zitari, you are safe. I won't allow anyone to harm you," he said. "What's that sound? What's happening in Mama and Papa's room?" Zitari questioned her brother. Zikora, equally confused, held her hand and listened intently. Moments later, they heard noises again coming from their parents' room. And as their curiosity got the better of them, they quietly approached their parents' room. To their shock, they saw their parents engaged in passionate moments, oblivious to the twins' presence. They quickly retreated to their room quietly, their hearts racing with confusion and fear. "What just happened, Zitari?" Zikora asked in a hushed voice. "I don't know, but I think Mama and Papa were," Zitari trailed off, unsure of how to explain what they had witnessed. The next morning, the twins, hesitant and curious, approached their mother, nervously asking, "Mama, why were you crying last night?" Ebere's eyes were red from lack of sleep. Was caught off guard, brushed it off gently. "It wasn't crying, my love. It was, I don't know how to say this, it is love," she explained vaguely. But the confusion lingered. Left in the care of relatives and nannies, as their parents jetted off for vacations to exotic beaches, resorts, shopping malls and business trips, forgetting their duties as parents. Zikora and Zitari's bond deepened in troubling ways. One day, Zikora suggested they play Mummy and Daddy. Zitari hesitated but eventually relented under his persuasion. Their games, innocent at first, turned to something sinful. Zitari confronted her mother, asking, "Mama, is it right that you and Daddy leave us alone so much? You never spend time with me and Zikora or know about our feelings." Ebere laughed it off. "Sweetheart, you know me and your dad provides everything you need, and I promise you'll never lack for anything." But material wealth couldn't fill the emotional void their neglect created. The twins' unhealthy attachment grew more apparent as they reached teenage age. They rarely mingled with others, preferring each other's company above all else. They were in the same class and made few friends because they never wanted anyone to interfere in their relationship. They literally did everything together. But their parents were oblivious to the dangers of their neglect, continued living in their world of love. Ebere's mother, Mrs. Neka, has already noticed the abnormality in her grandchildren's behavior and invited her daughter Ebere over to her home for a serious discussion. As they settled into the lavish living room, decorated with floral patterns and beautiful African artwork, Mrs. Neka's demeanor shifted from welcoming to seriousness. "Ebere, do you really know your children?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Ebere laughed, a nervous chuckle escaping her lips. "What sort of question is that, Mama?" "Of course, I know my children," Mrs. Neka with a heavy heart said to her daughter. "I'm sorry, okay, but please my daughter," Mrs. Neka pressed, her eyes searching for Ebere's. "You need to create time for them. Watch over them. If you don't, you might live to regret it. Consider separating them. Zittery should come live with me, while Zecora stays with you." Ebere felt a wave of anger wash over her. "I can take care of my children. I don't need your help," she snapped, her voice rising. Ebere's anger cut deep, leaving Mrs. Necker hurt. That evening, as she lay on their bed, Emezie found her deep in thought, worry etched across her face. "What troubles you, my jewel?" he asked gently, wrapping her in his arms. Ebere recounted the incident with her mother, but Emezie was also concerned. They both felt a shadow lurking over their children but couldn't quite place it. Days turned into months and months into years, and the twins, now 18, had become young adults, successful in their academics. "Zittery, I don't want anyone else to have you," Zecora said one day, his voice filled with an intensity that made her heart race. "What do you mean?" she asked, biting her lip nervously, unsure of how to respond. Zecora moved closer, and in that moment, the air thickened with unspoken desires. Zecora, fiercely protective of his sister, chased away any guy who dared to approach Zittery, while the twins practiced what they had unknowingly witnessed as children. Ebere's attempts to connect with her children felt futile as she became more engrossed in her career, believing she was providing them with the life they deserved. Ebere's friends, Chidera and Ketchi, began to notice the strange closeness between Zecora and Zittery. One day, Chidera and Ketchi pulled Ebere aside at Chidera Boutique and they both said, "Ebere, you need to watch your children. They're too close for comfort." But Ebere brushed off her friend's concerns, unaware of the dark path her children were heading down. She scoffed saying, "Please girlfriends, I think you should focus on your own family. My kids are fine, and how could in God's name you would say such horrible things?" She stood up and angrily walked out of Chidera Boutique while they watched her in pity. As Zecora and Zittery entered their 20s, their obsession with each other deepened. They went to the same university, where they continued to be a source of fascination and concern to those who met them. This continued. Zecora never allowed Zittery to have a serious relationship with any guy on campus, and he never dated any girls on the campus. They had few friends, and the twins lived together in a beautiful apartment off campus with a car to convey them to school. They never lacked money. Zittery was into fashion and designing while Zecora studied the same course like his dad. He was a computer wizard. Ladies flustered around him because of his good looks, wealth and intelligence, but he never showed interest in any of them. There is a particular girl called Fola. She is a beautiful, tall, curvy girl with brown skin. She is in the same department with Zecora. She was so much in love with him and did all sorts of tricks to get him to notice her, but it was all in vain. One day Fola said to Zittery, "I don't understand your brother, he seems like he doesn't like women. Am I not beautiful enough?" And she turned 360 degrees so that Zittery could have a good look at her. Zittery busted out laughing and said to her, "You are beautiful, but I think his heart belongs to someone else, so please stop wasting your time running after him." Fola began to suspect something weird about the twins, but she could not figure it out. Zittery, on the other hand, couldn't understand what was happening to her and why she couldn't be detached from her twin. "Why can't I just be normal?" Zittery lamented to herself one evening, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her thoughts echoed loudly in her mind, drowning out the soft hum of her favorite music. 2 years later they graduated from university and Zecora worked in his father's tech company while Zittery runs her fashion house. A very beautiful building with lush surroundings. She was good at it. She always creates good designs that attracted wealthy clients. She decided to live apart from her brother and she rented a very beautiful luxury apartment. But they both lived in the same city of Port Harcourt. Every time she saw Zecora, her heart raced, and the boundaries of their relationship blurred further. To escape the turmoil, Zittery threw herself into her work. Fashion design became her refuge, a world where creativity flowed freely, and she could express herself without inhibition. But even in the colorful fabrics and vibrant sketches, the thought of Zecora lingered like an unwanted shadow. She often daydreamed about their childhood memories, show they used to play dress-up, transform into imaginary characters, and share secrets beneath the stars. Those memories now felt tainted, haunting her with their innocence while fueling her new, sinful desires. One evening, after a long day of classes and sketching, Zittery decided to visit Zecora in his house. As she approached, her heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. She knocked gently, and when he opened the door, the familiar warmth of his presence enveloped her. "Hey, Zittery, what's up?" Zecora greeted, his smile brightening the dimly lit room. He was sitting at his couch poring over work-related documents, but his eyes sparkled with the same mischief she adored. I just wanted to talk to you, she replied, trying to sound casual despite the flutter in her stomach. Zikora leaned back in his chair. What do you want to talk about? His relaxed demeanor eased some of her tension, but it also heightened the awareness of the space between them. I was thinking about our childhood, she began, hesitating as she watched his reaction. You remember all the crazy things we did? How did we plan to be superheroes? Zikora chuckled, a deep, rich sound that sent butterflies fluttering in her stomach. Yeah. You always made the best costumes. For a moment, they were lost in nostalgia, but Zitteri's heart ached for more than memories. As she gazed at him, she felt an urge to bridge the distance that had grown between them. Zitteri's voice wavered, the weight of her emotions pressing down on her chest. Sometimes, I feel like there's something more between us. Something deeper and sinful, and I don't like it. Please let's put an end to this madness. But Zikora insisted that he loves her and it is normal feelings. When Zitteri was 25, she met a very handsome, tall, charming and kind-hearted man called Dave. He owns chains of business, both locally and international. It had been months since Zitteri met Dave, and each time they had shared a meal together, watched a movie at the cinema, or gone shopping at the mall, something inside her began to stir. For the first time in years, she felt the flutter of affection, a sensation that felt different from the one she had with Zikora. She had tried being in several relationships, but her brother always ruined it up before it started. Dave, a man in his 30s, with his kind eyes and gentle smile, treated her in ways she had only dreamed of. He didn't seem to care much about her past, her struggles, or the scars she carried. He just wanted her. Zitteri had found solace in him, a refuge from the troubles of her life. She had never felt more alive. But little did she know, Zikora, her brother, was watching from the shadows. Zikora never liked anyone getting too close to Zitteri. He had always considered her his to protect, his love, his to keep. And when he saw Zitteri growing closer to Dave, something inside him snapped. One night, Zikora invited Dave to a nightclub. The dimly lit space pulsed with music, the air thick with alcohol and smoke. Zitteri was at home, in her apartment, oblivious to what her brother was about to do. Dave sat at a table with Zikora, trying to make conversation, but the tension in the air was palpable. Zikora leaned in close, his gaze cold and menacing. Listen carefully, Dave, Zikora said, his voice low and steady. You don't belong here. You don't belong in Zitteri's life. Stay away from her, or I'll make sure you regret it. Dave blinked, confused, his brows furrowing. What are you talking about? I care about Zitteri. We've been spending time together. That's the problem, Zikora interrupted, his voice hardening. She's mine. And no one gets to have her but me. Dave leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. You're crazy if you think I'll back off because you tell me to. Zitteri deserves happiness, not whatever twisted game you've been playing with her. Zikora's eyes burned with anger. I'm warning you, Dave. Stay away from her. If you don't, I'll destroy you. Do you understand? Dave stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. You can't control her, and you can't control me, he spat, before turning to leave. But Zikora wasn't finished. He grabbed Dave's arm, his grip tight and forceful. You'll regret this, I swear. With a cold glance, Dave jerked his arm free, his chest heaving with anger. We're done here. Dave stormed out of the club, his mind racing. He couldn't understand why Zikora was acting this way, why he was so possessive of Zitteri. It made no sense. But he knew one thing for certain. He couldn't let Zitteri fall deeper into whatever web Zikora had spun around her. The next day, Dave confronted Zitteri at her apartment. Her smile faltered when she saw the serious expression on his face. Zitteri, Dave said, his voice tight with frustration. I need to know the truth. What is going on between you and your brother? Why is he so controlling? Zitteri's heart raced. She had always known there was something wrong about her relationship with Zikora, but hearing Dave's words made it all too real. She tried to smile, but it felt forced. I can't explain it, she said, her voice trembling. It's complicated. You don't understand. Dave's face grew hard. No, I don't understand. I don't understand why someone who cares about you would want to keep you to themselves. What kind of relationship is that? She couldn't tell him the truth. She couldn't tell him what she had done with Zipporah, how deep into sin she had fallen. She had been living in a lie for so long that she didn't know how to escape it. "Dave, Zittery started, but the words wouldn't come. Dave turned to leave, shaking his head in disbelief. "I can't do this anymore, Zittery. I can't be with someone who can't even be honest with me. I'm sorry." She collapsed onto her couch, the weight of her decisions crashing down on her. She had lost him as she lost the others, but Dave was the only man who had ever truly cared for her. And she had no one to blame but herself. Tears welled up in her eyes as she struggled to find the right words. "Dave, please. I never wanted this. I didn't choose any of this," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But it's all I've ever known. It's all I have." Dave's expression softened for a moment, but only briefly. "Zittery, this isn't love," he said quietly, his voice full of sadness. "Love isn't possessive. Love doesn't tear you apart. I want to be with you, but I can't stand by and watch you destroy yourself and push everyone away." She could see the pain in his eyes, the confusion, the helplessness. And in that moment, Zittery realized just how much she had lost. She wanted to scream, to tell him everything, the dark, twisted secret that had haunted her for years. But she couldn't. Not now. Not with him. Not with anyone. "I'm sorry, Dave," she said, her voice barely audible, as her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Dave's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer before he turned and walked out of the apartment, the door clicking shut behind him with a finality that echoed in Zittery's soul. She sank to her knees, the tears pouring freely now, and for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to mourn. Mourn for the love she'd lost, the life she'd never had, and the nightmare she could never escape. It was too late for her. Too late for redemption. She had pushed away the only person who had ever cared, and now, all that remained was the suffocating darkness of her twisted reality. What could be the result of this sinful obsession? Will Zittery be free from her brother's manipulation and obsession? Watch out for the part 2 of the story. Thanks for watching and subscribing to my channel. Parents train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22 verse 6.